All Hernandez.
Isis Garcia, present.
Okay. The question that that was passed at first reading and will be heard for second reading and final adoption is the following. Shall the city amend the pension provisions of the Hialeah Charter to require Hialeah voters to approve any future changes to the pension plan for elected officials, which will be closed to new elected officials beginning on January 1st, 2014. So if anyone has any questions, comments, it's open to the public.
One question.
Identify your name and
Antonio Lewis, PBA representative, 230 Cherokee Street, Miami Springs, Florida. Mr. Mayor, my only question is, and as I addressed Attorney Grodnick, when he retires, if you close this off, this pension includes the city attorneys. It includes all the attorneys, which means they will not, and that's my concern, that we will not be able to hire any good attorneys.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think what we're going to be doing is, and it may require another ordinance change if this is adopted, and that is that the that the attorneys will have an option to join the general employees, any system that we have for general employees. So if it's the 7% contributory plan for the general employees, that gets matched by the city, and if that's the retirement benefit, it'll be that 14%, and it may require, looking at salaries to attract the right people if that's the benefit that is being offered.
Okay, that's it. That was my concern.
Hi, name and address.
Julio Rodriguez, 754 West 33rd Street. For the ordinance that happened on Tuesday, once that passes, I assume it's already set in stone here.
Yes.
Is the pension plan going to go back to the way it was back before 1998, or there's going to be no pension plan whatsoever?
Okay. For new elected officials, there will be no pension plan benefit. So back in 1998, before there was this, where it was a maximum of $5,000, that will not even be available.
Okay. Also, so that means there's 3 vested council members, right? I'm correct?
I don't have the records in front of me. Anyone here who has 8 years of continuous service.
Also, okay, so the new public officials who will come in, they don't get a pension.
Correct.
Correct. But then the city and council members who don't have a pension, they're going to get one. Okay. That's a little bit hypocritical.
Okay. Well, is it a question or a comment?
Well,
do you just want to leave it at a comment?
Yeah, well,
okay.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Name and address for the record, sir.
1190 West 56th Street. My name is Juan Santana. Just want to come and say a comment. To my understanding, this is not an opportunity. I mean, you find people up here have had your opportunity to receive a pension. And I think this is just a political way to turn away people. And I think that's incorrect because, you guys have your opportunity to receive a pension. And you're just trying to turn people away from trying to go against you guys. And second comment I wanted to make was that, Mr. Mayor, if you retire right now, you're going to be saving the city close to $34,000 a year. So I think you should retire right now and resign your position. Excuse me, sir, I'm speaking. Resign your position because you're receiving a pension as a police officer, and now you're going to have 2 pensions. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, basically, thank you very much, and we appreciate your attendance.
Sorry, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I just.
Oh, okay, I'm
It's just
sorry.
one more person. Your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, my name is Pierre Corbeau. I'm from Homestead. Address, you guys see?
Name, address,
Okay,
and
1438 Southeast 24th Court.
Thank you.
I have a question. My first question is, in the Florida legal cities right now, Hialeah is ranked what when it comes to elected officials?
I'm sorry.
Degree?
I'm sorry, I don't know what ranking you're
Oh,
referring
okay,
to.
because I believe the Florida legal cities ranks cities with grades, A, B, C, or D.
Through the chair, I've been part of the Florida Legal Cities, I don't know, for the last almost 10 years, 6 years, I'm sorry, and I've never heard of the ranking based on pensions.
Okay, well, it was just a report I saw today coming from the legal cities.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Okay,
Okay.
No problem. Do I have the time limit of 3 minutes with you?
Well, if you have a couple questions,
Yeah,
fine,
just a
go ahead.
question. Okay.
We'll work with you.
Now my second question is, why do you think it's right for any elected official to be getting any pension? Why do you think this is right? I mean, it's one thing when you're retired, when you're after 65 years old, but it's another thing to be getting a pension when you're 30 years old.
Okay, wait a second. First of all, the existing pension system, it only at age 55, it's a deferred pension.
Okay.
And no one gets a pension at age 30, okay? Even if they get their 8 years and they leave office, okay?
55.
So it's 55. The only exception would be, and will not apply most likely to anyone sitting up here because there are term limits, but anyone who has had 20 years of continuous service as an elected official could get their benefit at an age that might be earlier than 55.
Okay, but
And that applied to Raul Martinez and probably no one else.
yeah,
at this
no,
point.
of course, and I personally think, it's great if you can get off the $186,000 every year, but I mean, I personally think that what your reform is doing, it's not addressing the whole Raul Martinez issue to begin with. And second of all,
I'm just saying, is this your last question, or
no,
you have-
one more thing.
Okay.
One more thing. I mean, okay, you have Greece on one side that had this 55-year-old retirement age for public employees, and you have Detroit going down the sink, and you have all those cities that have pension problems, and there's so many cities, even in Miami-Dade County, that don't have retirement plans for elected officials. I mean, my question is.
Well, then you'll appreciate that we're trying to close this.
No, I'm sorry, you're not. I'm sorry, that can be a real comment. I mean, what? Seriously, is that a stupid comment, or should I follow public records request?
Okay,
No.
basically, if you want to ask a question,
No,
we're
my
not
question
having,
is
no,
why-
we're not having a running dialogue. Is
Okay,
this, do you
my
have a
question is why-
question?
Yeah, my question is, why don't you think that abolishing all pensions for elected officials is a good thing? Why don't you think that's a good thing to do? Why should
You're
you
asking a
abolish
question
all-
in a double
Yeah.
negative, so really what
No,
you're saying
okay,
is,
I'm sorry, why-
is it a good thing? Yes, we think it, that.
Then
this-
why don't you abolish the whole? Why don't you abolish the whole thing instead of playing politics? Why this meeting? I don't even know how much it's going to cost the taxpayers. The light bulbs, the AC, everything is going to cost something. Why are you playing politics? Why don't you abolish the whole?
Let me answer this quick. First of all, you're from Homestead, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to Hialeah. Thank you. First of all, the reason we are doing this is so what happened in 1998 never happens again. I believe that the citizens have the right to, if you want a pension, for them to tell you yes or no. If you want a raise, they should tell you yes or no. That is called transparency. That is what we're doing here. If it was up to me, and I'm sure most people here, we will close it totally. But legally, there's some things we can't do. But
Legally, yes, you could.
no, you don't know, no, you don't. So the bottom line is, I think I've answered your question. I might come around here more often and then you know what we do.
You could.
Thank
Legally,
No,
no.
please don't respond, you're not an attorney, are you?
I'm not an attorney.
Okay, but let me just
Legally,
explain.
you could.
If somebody has a vested pension, and and they are entitled to their pension benefits. If they made all the eligibility requirements, they're entitled to pension benefits. It would be the same for a city employee as it would be for an elected official.
All contracts are
I mean, wait, I just want to let you know, this is not collective bargaining. Elected officials are not employees, they're not subject to collective bargaining as an employee is. I don't want to sit, we can talk later. All I can tell you is that what we're saying basically is that we're closing the pension. If the voters, that's a separate ordinance. If the voters want to give a pension in the future at whatever terms and amount, and we're letting the voters make the decision as to how they would like to treat their elected officials.
How much would an election cost? $70,000? Or unless you want to...
All I'm saying is that if that's a question that's presented to the voters, and the voters would like to have that question answered, that would be it.
May I ask, why are you here?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I'm writing articles online, and
Do you represent anybody here? Or you
I don't represent. Yeah, I represent
you're not gonna be
myself.
working anybody's campaign or anything like that?
No, actually, I represent myself.
You're not gonna be working anybody's campaign?
I'm sure I am. But I'm not working. No, volunteering.
You're gonna volunteer?
Sure.
So you are. May I ask who you support or who you're working with?
No, it's okay. You don't have to.
I just wanted that for the record.
No, but I mean, I'm sure. I'm not gonna be representing anybody that's in favor of pensions, and I want to say it's a good step that you're doing, but I think you're okay. How do I say this? I'm sorry, I'm not from here. I don't know how to say those English words. I'm from France. Yeah, from France. But I mean, you're playing politics with this. You could get rid of the whole pension thing tomorrow if you, I mean, at the next council meeting if you wanted, or you could have one public referendum to renegotiate all the contracts or not the contracts, but all the pension plans with past employees because this is taxpayer money.
Okay. Why don't you speak to one of the employees? You've got the union representative of the PDA. He'll be happy to talk to you about their rights and obligations.
Thank you for clearing that up. Antonio Lewis, PDA rep. This is a contractual issue. We would have to agree to it. And as a matter of fairness, like Mr. Grande said, anybody who came into any job expecting certain benefits shouldn't be taken away on a whim. Now, we've contested and we've told the mayor when we promised him that we will talk about pension reform, and I've made my pledge and I make it here publicly. We will do pension reform in the contractual thing, but no. Anybody who came in knowing that they were going to get a benefit should be that benefit. To be honest, if you want to make a comment, I even disagree that you guys, anybody who's not vested should contribute 7%. You guys came in knowing what you were going to get, and that's what you should get. Now, moving forward, by all means, you're doing the right thing. That's official union position.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I want to thank everybody for your attendance and participation. This meeting is adjourned.
Hey, Joey, Tony Lewis. How you doing?
Are you buying the position?
Yeah.